think the environment has to be
What we are saying is have a heart.
We've got to be able to regenerate our
There'll
economy.
be people who are kind, people who are cruel, but that's life. You can be passionate about pigeons. I'm fine with that.
I think the fundamental problem is about the political culture that we have here. That planners have taken, have probably understood political convenience as administrative efficiency. So I do not really need to consult many people, I inform people, and I get the plans through quickly, and it goes well on my CV. But I think governance is not like that. Governance should be about continuous negotiation with the citizenry.
That's in today's reality.
Yeah, and the 2011 elections have shown that.
Mm-hmm. And there is an attempt to also to discuss, right?
Piecemeal. I mean,
the minister came down to talk to you. Was that a satisfactory discussion?
Discussion on Bukit Brown.
Yes.
Bukit Brown or in general?
No discussion.
No
There was
discussion.
There was
There was no
I thought there was a discussion on arriving at a
we
consensus.
thought there was going to be a discussion, but in the event the discussion did not take place. What took place was a meeting whereby we were briefed on what the government plans were. So it was not a discussion.
You see,
They had in mind what they were going to do.
It was a briefing rather than a discussion.
Yes.
But then why did the minister feel that he had been let down after meeting up with the representatives?
We would like to ask the minister that. We are not the minister, we cannot answer.
Yeah.
you see, what happened is that when Bukit Brown was announced and there's a coalition formed with Green Drinks and Heritage Nature Society, and it was decided that as a coalition we will request for a meeting with LTA. Our president, Nature Society, sort of act as intermediary, send a letter to LTA, and the meeting was postponed for 1 month. They are not ready to meet up with you all. And then comes second month, they request for a list of names of people who go to attend the meeting. So a list of names was given, about 30. And
That's quite a lot.
again, it was postponed for 2 months. And then the third month, they came back and said, oh yes, we can meet up with you all. But it'll be just me one or two from each stakeholders, and they're going to widen the meeting to other groups. So they fixed a
But
date.
that was being democratic, right?
Yeah.
That was being democratic. To
Okay,
widen it to all interested
we
groups.
follow
Yeah.
along with it, and so a date was given. Meeting is in the evening 6. So we attended the meeting. But it was announced that the meeting was going to be chaired by MND. Mr. Tan Jin will be chairing the meeting. So, but before that, we learned that they already have a press meeting, you see, around noon on that same day, where they informed the press that this is their plan for the expressway and this is final. So 6 o'clock p.m. we attended the meeting, and the Minister of State told us that this is not for us to discuss the pro and con of the expressway, alternative, and blah blah blah. What dialogue it is. Just to let you know that this is our final plan.
Were your expectations different? Were you expecting something else at the meeting?
Of course, we expect to have a discussion.
Was that the impression they gave you, that it would be a discussion?
On our side, we were expecting a discussion.
Yeah.
And on their side, they were happy to give us a briefing on what they had already decided. So this was a clearly a differing expectations on what this meeting was supposed to be about, what the agenda was about. So arising from that, maybe the government thought that this was how it would engage the various civil society groups. So as far as the civil society groups are concerned, this was not the engagement that we anticipated.
Okay. From what I'm hearing, in your heart, the matter of Bukit Brown has not been amicably settled. Is that your position, that the solution is not acceptable and still not acceptable?
Yes.
And what would you recommend? There has to be a meeting. There has to be a balance of divergent interests between development and conservation, between heritage and history and
We are completely sympathetic to that
Okay.
that point. I think we would like to re-engage in terms of discussion. And I'm not saying that the government is staying away. I mean, Heritage Board has been has said that Bukit Brown is important. We have begun discussions with them, but the discussions have not been about reviewing the plans for the road, and we're not quite sure whether or not.
But that assurance has never been given, right? That the government would review and discuss with the parties concerned the rationale.
Yes, but then what is a dialogue for if not to
Maybe to
review
explain.
and to discuss?
Well, that's the way the government has always been doing things for the last 30 years. I mean, the question is, do they want to continue the same kind of process, or do they want to engage civil society groups in a more open-minded discussion and to hear our views?
And if they do convince you that there is a rationale for going ahead with the road, then all your members would accept it.
No, I
don't know
I think
gonna
society,
happen
I think we have to look at society in a different way. It's not represented through organizations and institutions. The Bukit Brown experience has shown that there are diverse interests, individuals coming together.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that if one group agrees to it, everyone agrees to it.
Yes.
But I think what is important is for the state maybe to lay out the information that they have got and to tell people how they have arrived to such a conclusion. That is more important than getting
That
peop-
won't change the outcome or may not change the
no,
outcome.
at least there's an understanding of the rationale, rather than be fed with this rhetoric once again that we have to provide for your children instead of your grandparents in the graves. That was the Lee Kuan Yew's rhetoric that has been transferred forward in probably a much more courteous way, but the underlying discourse and ideology is still there. The kind of developmentalist mentality that was based on the 20th century instead of the 21st. So I think they have to lay out the issues involved, to lay out how the conclusions were being made. And even though we would disagree, but at least we would be satisfied with the level of transparency, which is actually not happening.
I think the question is, try and persuade us.
Yeah.
We're open to persuasion. We're open to reason. We're open to discussion.
I think we've framed it in a way that we have alternatives. It's not like we're saying no to development. What we have consistently done is try to propose alternatives and to make Bukit Brown into something viable like a heritage.
I think there is no conclusion on the viewpoints are quite entrenched. But I think what is a positive sign is that there is a greater ownership of assets in Singapore, of what Singapore means to us, and the ownership of Bukit Brown, which I think would never have happened a long time ago. And we all feel a certain right to be entitled to have a say, and a certain right to be told so that we can understand the reason for how decisions are made, and perhaps to come to a compromise if that is possible. On that inconclusive but rather positive note, we close tonight's session. Good night.
Thank you.